So the last time we spoke, you said that in order for me to have a better understanding of my Creator when I stand before Him in my prayer, um, is that outside the prayer I should get to know Him better. And I presume what you mean by that is, looking around me. I know that I'm told that the Quran tells us that there are signs of God in me and also in the creation, on the horizons it says, but how do I look at the creation and think of Him?
Is there anything in creation, out there that particularly catches your eyes?
Well, there's a cherry tree in my back garden which is extremely impressive. It has beautiful blossoms in the spring and really nice juicy red cherries, and I'm presuming that, since it's part of the universe, that God's responsible for this cherry tree. But how does looking at the cherry tree or looking at anything around the cherry tree increase my knowledge of God or understanding of Him?
It is interesting that you've observed something in the universe beyond the actual form. You talk about it being extremely impressive. You describe its beauty and taste. Therefore, your Creator is communicating something about Himself to you through the cherry tree. Since there's tasty fruit, then He is the provider of that fruit who nourishes you. And He has placed it in that particular form which is pleasing to your eyes, which shows His love and compassion for you. Therefore, it's possible to conclude just by observing that cherry tree that my Creator is merciful and kind and wise. Now, can you tell me a little bit more why you found the cherry tree to be extremely impressive?
Well, I'm not a botanist, that's the first thing, so I don't know much about trees. But I have read a little bit about them, and this cherry tree is huge, absolutely huge. It must be at least 10 meters. So clearly it's going to contain several tons of wood. It has hundreds of branches and, incredible amounts of fruit. And if I look at this tree now, I find that it's almost as though, it's a factory inside the cherry tree going on. It's absolutely incredible. And I've read, that trees have their own heating systems, their own cooling systems. It has systems of, to transport sugar and other things that the cherries need, that the branches need, that the flowers need. It's just like a huge industrial complex, really.
So here you're actually talking about order and harmony. So then this must be telling you that your Creator who created this cherry tree is telling you something about Himself. He's telling you He creates with order, He creates with harmony, He creates with compassion and with beauty. And also you describe the abundance of fruit. And yet, how many seeds were needed for that one tree?
Well, I don't know. Well, I suppose just the one.
Just one seed. So this shows the abundance of His mercy. From one seed, so much fruit. So by just looking at the cherry tree, you were able to observe so much about your Creator. He is compassionate, He creates with order and harmony and with purpose. The real purpose of the cherry tree then is for you to get to know your Creator. The cherry tree then is a kind of sign for you to ponder upon.
But isn't that an issue of belief? I mean, the books that I've read about trees, they don't make any mention of a creator. For those books, the cherry tree is just part of the natural world. And if I were to ask any of those authors of those books who the creator of the cherry tree is, they would say, why are you talking about a creator? It's just a natural thing. So all of these things, okay, I do see beauty, I do see order, and if I'm honest, I see that the trees are providing lots of cherries, which is, I suppose, generosity. I see that the tree is well ordered, it has a system or several systems which operate harmoniously, it interacts with other things. I know for a fact that birds nest there and they benefit from the cherries. It gives them a home, somewhere to perch on. There's a kind of mutual assistance going on between the tree and the birds. I see all of that, and okay, it's amazing. But either it can be said that this is just nature, or as you're suggesting, it's a sign pointing to God. Now, the believer in me tells me that it has to be a sign pointing to God, but how can I be sure?
Well, I believe you have just described it very well yourself when you said there is a kind of interdependence going on, where, for example, without the sun and the soil and the seed and so on, the cherry tree wouldn't be possible. It couldn't come about. In fact, on their own, they're absolutely useless. There would be no cherry tree. This means that everything we see in creation is dependent. And this dependence itself is a form of communication from your Creator. It shows that the Creator of all these dependent things cannot be dependent and therefore cannot have any partners in His creation. In other words, what we see is purely His work of art.